so lonely. If you're leaving, baby, let me down slowly. Let me down.
What's that one story you've always wanted to tell on our AskReddit, but no one has ever asked the right question? A friend from grade school had previously been a skydiving instructor in Colorado, and had jumped more than 600 times. One of these times, he, for some reason, had his wallet in his suit, and it fell out. Fell to earth somewhere. He figured, this sucks, but oh well. Absolutely no chance of finding it. Separately, a man in rural Colorado was found murdered. Turns out, in the remote cabin where he lived with his daughter, he had been sexually abusing her and she finally had enough and killed him. The police searched the house and all of his property, and found my friend's wallet in the trunk of his car. Police thought to themselves, beeping idiot murderer left his wallet in this dude's trunk, damn easiest arrest ever. Friend had the super believable alibi of, couldn't have been me officer, actually that wallet fell out of my pants while I was skydiving. I was once robbed at gunpoint in a public bus. Dude was talking to me like he was my friend while pointing the gun at me. He only asked me for the cash I had in my wallet, and after I gave it to him he kept talking to me like we were random commuters having a conversation. Dude got more confident and asked for my phone. I said, no, not the phone, man, I need it, and he was like, fine, it's okay, don't worry, we chill. 10 out of 10 would be assaulted by him again.
To whom it may concern, would you please hand over all of your money in your wallet? Thank you for your time and consideration.
My first and worst online date, the drunk and the baby. It's 2008, I'm 18 and I meet a girl on OkCupid. She's older than me, around 25, educated and a bit alternative. We agree to meet at a London pub for lunch at 1 in the afternoon, which is quite a journey for me, but I make it anyway. So, she turns up a bit late with a baby in a baby carriage. I had no idea she had a kid before this, but I didn't have a problem with it. She doesn't address that I didn't know about her kid, but says she couldn't find babysitting. Cool, no problem. We both go up and order a drink separately and hang out and chat. We've been there for about 2 hours, and she's gone up to the bar a whole bunch of times, mostly coming back with coffees and the occasional Coca-Cola. But then, quite suddenly, she falls forward onto the table and catches herself with her elbows and takes a big sigh and says, "Oh man, I didn't mean to get so drunk." What? I tell her I didn't realize that she's even been drinking, but she tells me that she's been having Irish coffees, rum and cokes as well as shots at the bar. So at this point I start looking for an out, but she's becoming more and more despondent and her 1-year-old is sat in his pram, so I can't leave in good conscience. I start encouraging her to get a taxi home and she starts to cry, apologizing and saying that I must hate her. But shortly after she closes her eyes and will only respond in mumbles and groans. I try and get her to come around enough to get an address out of her, which I can't, so I take her phone, which wasn't passworded. 2008 non-smartphones. Most people didn't password their phone back then. Find a contact called Mum and call it. I was hoping she could come and pick her up, but it turns out Mum lives in the south of Spain. She isn't one bit happy to hear from me after I explain what happened, but presenting myself as a friend. Nonetheless, she gives me an address to get her to. I ask the bar to call me a taxi, which they do, and one of the bar staff take pity on me and help me get the woman, the baby and the stroller into the cab. I was about to give the driver money for the trip and see them off, but I realized it was a bad idea, because who knows what would happen? So I get in the taxi to go take her home holding a baby the entire way, which I've never done in my life at that point. Turns out the driver is a stand-up bloke, and I explain what has happened and we have a laugh about it. When we get there, he even assembles the pram for me as I take her and place her on her doorstep. I find her keys and get her door open, at which point some guy pops his head round the corner from the kitchen and asks, "Who the fuck are you?" I tell him my name and that I'm a friend and ask who he is. He says he's her fiancé. Uh-oh. He's pretty angry that I've gotten his fiancé with his child drunk in the middle of the day. After getting the pram through the door, he begins to carry her up the stairs and he says to me, "You stay right there. You and I need to have a little chat." Nope. As soon as he turns the corner at the top of the stairs, I turn and make a run for it. Jump back in the taxi, who I asked to take me to the nearest tube station. Afterward I needed some catharsis, so texted some friends who were locals and went out proper. And the kicker? On the train home that night I get a text message from her, "Had a lovely time. Can't wait to see you again." I block her number and never hear from her again. TLDR, went on date turns up with child and gets drunk without my knowledge. I drag her back to hers to make sure she's safe, only to find she also has a fiancé who is less than pleased to see me. Okay, so I was never a sporty kid in school. I come from the country parts of Ireland where everyone has thick accents, drinks Guinness, and most importantly, everyone loves football. Of course, I was an antisocial beep who never went outside, so I never learned how to play nor wanted to. So one day in primary school, the teachers made us all play football. Since I didn't know how to play, I decided to just stand awkwardly near the goal and admire the scenery for the whole game. At one point I became so absorbed in doing absolutely nothing that I pretty much blocked out the sound of everyone else's voices, so I had no idea how the game was going. Towards the end of the game, I was getting rather tired and was basically half asleep, when suddenly this fucking incredible pain hits my back. I fall over and I literally have no idea what just happened, when suddenly some of the kids on my team went over to me and started cheering and saying, "Yeah, egg. Good job." I just kinda stood there for a moment before realizing what had just happened. Apparently I had just accidentally blocked the opposition's winning goal by just standing there and doing absolutely nothing. TL. Drive. If you want to accomplish your dreams and be praised, all you have to do is absolutely nothing. I once got beer using a McLovin ID from the movie Superbad. I was 20 from US, so still underage. I was on a business trip and was waiting for my flight when I decided to get dinner at one of the airport restaurants. The waitress asks me what I'll have to drink and I ask what's on tap because why the beep not? I order a Corona, but she asks for my ID. So I hand her my McLovin ID. Best $4 I've ever spent. She looks at it, smiles, and says okay, and comes back with my beer. The cherry on top was when she came back a couple minutes later with another beer and gave it to me for free, saying she had accidentally poured an extra. That was the best moment of my otherwise uneventful and vanilla life. Foggle forever.
The beep you doing to go on a business trip via plane at age 20? Actually, what the beep am I doing with my life?
6th grade, I had hit a major growth spurt, so most of my clothes didn't fit and my family couldn't afford new ones. Once winter came around, the only jacket I had that I could still fit in even a bit was much too thin to be of any use. My teacher noticed and I walked into class one morning to see a big, fluffy winter coat on the back of my chair and a chicken soup for the sole book on my desk. Her kindness still makes my eyes water, even almost 2 decades later. Ms. Robertson, if you're reading this, thank you. I never forgot. Edit, I really never thought I'd say this, but rip inbox. I posted this late to the thread and thought it would get buried, didn't think I'd get more than 20 upvotes and especially not gold. To answer some common questions, this was in the Phoenix area, and I've tried to get in touch with her since, but I don't remember her first name and she doesn't work at the school anymore. My first reaction was to hesitate. I thought maybe someone had come in early to do homework or be tutored or something and left their stuff, but she saw my hesitation and ushered me over to my seat. I've gotten more than a few comments about how it's an amazing thing that she did so, especially on a teacher's salary, and I agree. It wasn't an inexpensive coat, and I wore that thing until I literally couldn't anymore. When I was a 5-year-old child, I liked to spend a lot of time in my parents' room, and one particular morning, I had found a cool little elephant mask. Naturally, I decided to play with it and put it on my face to show my mom. The horrified look on her face is what makes me remember this. However, she did laugh a little after she immediately took the mask off my face. TLDR, 5-year-old me found my dad's elephant thong in my parents' room and put it on my face. I never knew what it was until I was 13,